CHGO White Sox post-game show presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app today and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. Welcome into Studio B. The B stands for blown. I am your host, Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. That is Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him on Twitter at Actonwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. We'll be joined by our CHGO White Sox beat writer, Vinnie Duber, later on from Guaranteed Rate Field. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. We're coming to you live from our West Loop studios in downtown Chicago after a White Sox. The pause doesn't have to be this long because it's only the first one in a couple games. Loss. 12 innings. And they lost 7-3. And it should have been 7-2, but thankfully Eloy Jimenez had a rocket shot to make it make the run differential look a little bit nicer, Herb. So what do we take away immediately after taking 2 of 3 from the Twins, tying the season series, and coming off the end of a 3-game winning streak? Your thoughts?
Generally, the whole series, that's a win. Of course, they won the series, and that's the first time the White Sox did that. That, before the series started, I said that's what the White Sox needed to do. Take 2 or 3. Yes, the sweep would have been awesome, and I was rooting for the sweep. I wanted the sweep. I was disappointed that they lost today in such a disgusting fashion, but you did what you needed to do versus the Minnesota Twins, taking a game away from them, so you're 8 games back. Now you go into Cincinnati not with the momentum that you needed, but you are a little bit better. You're playing a little bit slightly better than you were the week before versus a much better team in the Tampa Bay Rays. But this weekend's opponent, the Cincinnati Reds, won't be as good. So what I take away from the 3-game set, better, but still White Sox. They're still doing those White Sox things. Like, there's a runner on third with 0 people out. All you need to do is hit the ball in the air, deep. And Billy Hamilton scoring that winning run. Game's over. But, yeah, there was a lot of things today that threw me right back into these White Sox are bad at baseball. Well, and there was 2 positives today. The guy you already mentioned, Eloy Jimenez, and our guy, Luke Ace Giolito.
Luke Ace Giolito was fantastic. We'll talk about him later. Absolutely. We do have a ton of people hanging out with us, so make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button. We really do appreciate it. Our guy Blank Name was talking about Jake Berger being taken out of the game. Jake Berger was taken out of the game yesterday. He went on the IL today. So Lenyn Sosa is back on the ball club. And really, you called him the best hitter on the team.
He was.
Really good hitter. I don't know if he was the best hitter, but top 2. He ain't 1, but he's 2. The lineup gets really thin once he's out. And this was a planned off day for Tim Anderson.
Correct.
He ends up coming in later as a pinch hitter, but Benintendi, Vaughn, Jimenez, Sheets, Robert Jr., Alberto, Andrus, Sosa, Zavala. You said during the game, before the pinch hitters came in, like Yasmani, Anderson, etc., Billy Hamilton. Pinch hitter is a funny pinch runner, and then he turned into Billy the hitter, and oh boy, I wish he didn't. But you said after Robert got real easy to get outs.
Really easy. I mean, before that, too, Eloy was the only real offensive star for the White Sox today. But look at those people you just named. Like, those are automatic outs. Sosa's automatic outs. Elvis is pretty much an automatic out. Alberto. Why is he hitting 6th? Is he the best of those bums? Maybe. And Seby Zavala. Like, those are just out. And so you can have a pitcher like Pablo Lopez just go out there, battle the first 5, and then relax on the last 4. It was a disgusting lineup, and that's, partly because of the roster construction and partly because of rest for Tim Anderson, rest for Yohan Moncada is out of the lineup. Yasmani Grandal had needed rest today, even though he did come in the game later on. But, yeah, this was not a good offensive game plan. They attacked him early in the game with a 2-run home run by Eloy Jimenez, and that was it again. The same thing that happened in Minnesota where they attacked him for 3 runs in the first, and then he got like 23 straight out. That's not a good way. It's not a good plan for the White Sox. They don't attack people like Pablo Lopez as they should. After that start versus the White Sox, 2 disastrous starts for Pablo Lopez after he was getting big-time money extension from the Minnesota Twins. But today, he was back to being Pablo Lopez.
They did say it was cold. So, pitchers have to be...
Cold where?
Where he was pitching.
Oh, in Minnesota? Come on now.
So,
that's better for him.
Cold like Minnesota. You know that song?
No.
You know Lil Yachty?
No.
All right.
Look at me. I'm 44. Do I
you
know
listen to that
Little
one.
Yachty?
That one's great.
That sounds terrible.
No, dude.
Is this a hip hop star?
He is. Yeah. Well, I think now he's not doing hip hop anymore. I think he wants to be called he's an artist.
I couldn't roll my eyes harder.
The song.
Not at you, at Little Yachty and his dumbass transition to even more terrible music.
Here's a line. This is from Minnesota. It's an artful piece. Almost had a lifetime sentence, but I beat it. Shout out to Pat. Pat, that's my lawyer. He got me off them charges. 8 stacks for that boy. He took care of the boy. Cold like Minnesota.
He didn't rhyme in that whole goddamn bar right there.
No, but you got to listen to it. It's funny.
Kids, raise your game up for these hip hop artists. Come on, man.
Yeah.
J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar. Those are real hip hop artists. Lil Wayne. Real hip hop artists.
Lil Wayne.
You guys are
okay,
going.
now you're going way too. You want to bring up 50
Little
Cent
Yachty.
too?
Yeah, the actual hip hop artists,
Yeah,
not
but I'm
this
saying,
Trizash that's going on right now.
Mercy. J. Cole and Kendrick, I think, are still in the.
They're still in the game. They're still the best in the game.
All right. Let's get. Do we actually have to talk about the White Sox?
I don't know.
I mean, again, like Hanser Alberto.
Sucks.
This is. I want to give a shout out to Nick, and we have to have Nick on the show.
Nick Morowski?
No, Nick, and I don't actually know.
Schaefer?
Yeah, is it Schaefer?
I think it's Schaefer.
Okay, from baseball perspective.
Correct.
Okay. Shout out to Nick Schaefer. I just know he's Nick. But here's Hanser Alberto's career platoon splits against right-handers.
Okay.
An on-base percentage of 257, a slugging of 331, and an OPS of 588.
Bad.
Versus left-handers,
Okay.
an on-base percentage of 341,
That plays.
slugging of 448,
All right.
and OPS of 790.
Working it.
I said in the offseason, I would understand because he's Pedro's guy and Leury isn't, and he does have really good splits against left-handers. So if they're trying to exploit that, great. You know who was also really good against left-handers?
No.
Jake Berger.
Oh, okay.
Hanser Alberto's purpose on this team is moot. And Jerk Berger is now on the 10-day IL. So again, it makes sense, I guess, why Hanser Alberto is on the team currently. However, Nick points this out. This year, Hanser Alberto, again, lifetime OPS against right-handers of 588 versus left-handers 790. This year, Hanser Alberto has 22 plate appearances against
Right-handers.
right-handers. Pablo Lopez is a
Right-hander.
right-hander. He batted
Right-handed.
it was sixth. He batted sixth.
Oh yeah. Terribly, yes.
Against left-handed pitchers, how many plate appearances does Hanser Alberto have in 2023? 22 against right-handers.
I would say 10.
Ooh, that's way too high.
5.
Ooh, that's too high.
Jesus, 2.
4. Oof. So malpractice is what Nick called it, and this Pedro guy.
And I know we disagree. This is the first time where I'm like, Pedro might have lost the game for the White Sox. I know that most people who are watching and who are viewing this and listening on the podcast the day after would love a bunt in the extra innings because that moves the winning run to third base, especially when the road team didn't score any runs. I get that, and I get what you're talking about. But I am so opposed to the sacrifice bunting because it gives up an out that you dearly need, because the White Sox cannot do work when it's three outs and the guy's at third. Now we're giving away an out, and now it's 2 outs you have remaining. So we're giving ourselves less chances to win the game where we already struggle when it's 0 outs and a guy in third. So now we're gonna sacrifice that guy over, and that guy usually in the extra innings was Billy Hamilton, who can just steal the base, or it was Alessandros, who is the career leader or the active leader in stolen bases. I just don't like those. I hate sacrifice bunting a guy to third base anytime. I hate sacrifice bunts all the time. It just made 0 sense. Hit away. Have 3 guys swing away, and if they don't get the job done, like Tim didn't get the job done in that clutch situation, but as you said, he came off the bench it was tough for him to get a hit, and that pitcher was filthy too. And Hanser Alberto, that at bat, the ball is hitting you, brother.
Right.
Stop swinging.
That's game over right there.
Yeah, stop swinging. Let him hit you. Accept what he's giving to you. And I just hate sacrifice bunting. That's so old school. That's so National League when they had pitchers and such. No, swing away. Try to win the game with 3 solid at-bats. If you don't, tip the cap to the other people. Good job, pitcher. You did the job. But giving away an out just to move him one space, I don't like it.
So I hear you. I absolutely do. As somebody who would hate to be in the position to have to defend bunting, I feel sick. However, I did say when they walked off, what was that, 2 days ago with Benintendi hitting the single into left field, I said that the only thing dumber than bunting is the ghost runner rule. And then someone said the math on bunting when you're in a walk-off situation actually radically changes when probability goes up because the big inning no longer matters. But that's the only situation. You're not trying to score as many runs as possible. You are trying to have the goal of score 1 run. I am all for bunting in that situation. And I'm not putting Pedro made a ton of mistakes today, and I'll go into them later. But that's on Lenine. Your goal is to get a bunt in play. But you have 2 opportunities. That is not a major league baseball player if you cannot get a bunt down. I understand you disagree with the strategy, but still, if that is what it's called for, you need to be able to lay. A fucking pitcher can do it.
I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. Even if the manager calls something dumb, the player needs to execute what that manager called. But I don't know the numbers. I haven't read the Tom Tango thing yet for a long time. Is it better, more advantageous for you would have a runner on second with no outs, or to have a runner on third with 1 out, to score that run?
But again, that's taking out the situation.
Anytime.
Well, then I'll look up the run index. I hate bringing up the run index, but real quick, let me just. I just think that the ghost runner rule too. I think the situation's dumb. The pitch clock again fixed the rule for the ghost runner, and I feel like you really are giving the home team an advantage because the Twins didn't score a run in the top of the 10th. You just need 1 run.
That's it.
So you need to be able to, when you have the $72 million catcher come up with a runner on third, if Lenyn Sosa is able to properly sacrifice bunt with a speedy enough runner. I mean, Elvis Andrus is one of the quicker or better base runners on the team.
Correct.
You have the $72 million catcher coming up and Andrew Benintendi coming up, the $75 million man. They should be able to drive in a runner from third with 1 out. Period. That's the goal. That is what you need to do.
That's correct.
I really can't say you shouldn't be bunting because I would rather have Lenyn Sosa not swinging away, or I'd rather have Yasmani Grandal, I guess, swinging away with a runner on third than possibly having to have him on second, especially because he's, you're directing then hit a fly ball. Yasmani Grandal should be able to hit a fly ball. Where was I going?
You're looking at the run
index. Thank you.
Yes. But yeah, and
it really just
see Karnick
defending bunting is making my head leap.
See Karnick 1 brings up a good point. Sox were 1 for 16 runners scoring position today, so it's no excuse. They didn't execute 100%. That's what the main thing with the White Sox was from last year, and it's creeping into this year. You can't have a guy of Billy Hamilton's caliber with the infield drawn in and not try to hit the ball in the air. And I understand the other pitcher knows what you're trying to do, but you have to beat him. If he's trying to get you on the ground, he's going to be throwing sinkers. He's going to be throwing sliders. He's going to be throwing stuff that's going to make you ground the ball right into the ground. So you need to find a way to lift that ball up. Find a way. Whatever you need to do, Timmy. Whatever you need to do. And then they walked, who'd they walk? Luis Robert. Because they didn't want to face him, they're like, let's go get Hanser Alberto. Andrew
Benintendi got intentionally walked twice.
Hey man,
because of Hanser Alberto, because of Billy Hamilton.
Nope, they were just scared of Andrew Benintendi. That was it. There was no other reason why they intentionally walked Andrew Benintendi. Reason Andrew Benintendi is that damn good. They're like, that's a $75 million man. He might take a yard right here. Let's walk him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who I wish the White Sox would have walked? Byron motherfucking Buxton.
Stop. We'll get to it.
Walk him.
We gotta lambast Pedro. But the 8th inning, Hamilton stranded at third with no outs, and this is from Vinny. 9th inning, Hamilton ends the inning after an intentional walk to Benintendi. 10th inning, Hamilton stranded at third with no outs. 11th, Hamilton ends the inning after an intentional walk to Benintendi. And he said, we're caught in a time loop at the rate. In the 11th inning, though, or the 12th inning, Eloy Jimenez broke it and drove in Billy Hamilton. And the White Sox lost by 4 runs.
Eloy Jimenez got all the runs driven in today. How about that?
Oh, hey, best hitter on the team is probably him. Andrew Vaughn had it for a day, but that boy looks right. So run expectancy matrix. I was calling it the run index by mistake. The run expectancy matrix, and you're looking for runner at second, no outs, and runner at third, 1 out.
Yes.
Okay. Runner at second, no outs, 1.068.
0.068.
Runner at third, 1 out, 0.865.
So you have more. Yes, you have more runs you can score, but I get the point, people. And I don't get me wrong. I understand you only need 1 run there, and I get that being at third with 1 out seems like a better thing for anybody in a professional league. But we're the White Sox. We got to remember, the White Sox. You got to give yourself the most chances to not fuck up. And the White Sox, they can't help themselves. And the Minnesota Twins, you got to, Rocco Baldelli and that staff, they saw threats. And they're like, we're not going to go against Eloy Jimenez. Why would we do that? We're not going to go against Luis Robert. And like you said, they intentionally walked Andrew Benintendi twice because Billy Hamilton cannot hit. I don't care what Tim calls him. He's Billy the out, the automatic out. Tried to bunt way too late in the at bat. He should have bunt on the first hit, on the first pitch, and he did not do that. And he popped it up to the catcher, and then struck out so feebly to end. What was it? The 10th inning. It was just so garbage. So yeah, Minnesota Twins did a great job of executing the plan of playing in the extra innings the way I would want the White Sox to play, even though they didn't score in the first couple extra innings. And then they executed when they had their champion-ass players up.
Who's Herb Holmes? Is that an actual person?
He's combining Lawrence and Herb.
Okay. I like that, though.
Us together.
Herb Holmes.
Yeah. I mean, back in the day with the scores.
I like Lawrence.
They used to put it on the schedule just... My name is Herb as the first name. They put everybody else as their last name, but people would get confused by our 2 names. But I spell my name correctly. Lawrence spells his incorrectly with a U.
Yeah.
I spell with a W.
And I like that, though. If it was Lawrence actually spelled right and Lawrence actually spelled right, those are 2 separate names.
Yeah, and also, I was a producer, Lawrence was a host. They were like, oh, we're just going to confuse you guys. How? I'm not hosting.
And
Sons
they're
of bitches.
We got a.
I'm not mad at him.
Okay, I'll look that up for Kirk for the therapy and for Byron Buxton. I know you have the stat that he said his most home runs or the team he has the most career home runs against is the White Sox.
17. I think the next team is 12. Cleveland Guardians, I believe, if I looked at it correctly. But it's the most he's hit against any team. I don't know if. When you're a child, I remember my mom used to say, don't touch that stove. It's hot. I wanted to go and check it out. I touched it.
Yeah.
And it was hot. And I was like, you know what? Mom was right. I'm not going to touch that stove anymore when I know it's hot. The White Sox keep on touching that fucking stove. Keep on touching. They even touched it in the extra innings with Aaron Bummer. I was like, what are you doing? Aaron Bummer got him out, and he looked actually outstanding for the second outing in a row. But stop testing fate with Byron Buxton. Stop going against him. Stop trying to get him out. If he's a base open, I would rather you go get your ass to first base than challenging him and maybe getting a strikeout like Aaron Bummer did. That worked out well. But I think more times than not, he's going to catch up with you. Ask Liam Hendricks last year.
Yeah. Well,
ask
Tony La Russa.
Ask Raylo this year.
Right.
And the greatest hitter in the world is not behind him anymore. He's in Miami now. Luis Ariz.
Who's behind? Who are if they walked? What? They wouldn't even be Correa.
Like Larnick or some trash like that.
Polanco.
Yeah, that's a little better.
Yeah, Polanco's
yesterday was Larnick. I was like, please, Jesus.
To answer Kirk, I got to know what's the last time Buxton did not hit a homer in a series he played all 3 and 4 games against us. Thanks for the therapy. That one's actually fairly easy to find. There was a 3-game stretch in July, the 15th, the 16th, and the 17th. I think that might have been a 4-game series, but still played 3 out of the 4 games, and he did not get a hit. I think he ended up getting injured actually on the 17th, so I can look that back up. But in the games he didn't hit a homer, he was 2 for 4, 2 for 3, so and with a walk, so 2 for 3 with a walk too. So he's just always killed him. Like, I don't get it. I get Lucas Giolito's strategy of pitching him around him. You're still wasting pitches.
Yes.
So I don't love it, but really it is reminiscent of Tony La Russa. Like, do you not learn? Like, what are you expecting pitching to Byron Buxton? It's levels of Javi Baez. Like, what are you doing? I don't understand it at all. And I like that they had a strategy of pitching him high fastballs up in the zone, but then when you do that and Raylo hangs a slider in the middle of the plate, he's going to crush that to, the moon. It's a full moon, too.
Yeah, and JJ, I hear you. The game is not on TA. He did blow it with the air.
No.
But it was I think it checked up like on a rock or something and went the opposite way. But it was his air. And yes, he didn't come through, but he entered the game late. It's not on him. It's on the whole team for not executing. I'm not going to give it to the one person who goes and makes it more often than not. And I don't think he was a big-time liability for the White Sox today. Yes, the air was sucked, but you got to get hits before that so that doesn't happen.
Right. I mean, the White Sox scored 2 runs in the 3rd, and then that was it until the 12th. I mean, it's very reminiscent of the 10-game losing streak where you're not able to put up runs and have good at-bats. Like, this is on Pedro Grifol. This is on the guy that's not prepared in walking Byron Buxton and not pitching around him. I really just find it funny that he talked about improving and preparation. Here's some things that you could expect from the 2023 White Sox, he said after getting the job, and this is from Vinny at all CHGO. We will communicate. We will be fundamentally sound. No. We will play with passion and pride for this uniform. Really. We will respect the game, our fans, and earn their trust. Haven't yet. We will be prepared to control the strike zone. No, on both sides of the ball. They walk a shit ton and they swing at a shit ton out of the zone. We will work hard and play winning baseball every night. We will definitely hold each other accountable. No. Maybe. We've got to improve defensively, obviously, and I feel that fundamentally we've got to improve. I haven't yet. I go back to the intensity level and the energy that we got to bring to our preparation. This is a very good club. It's a club that's prepared to win, to do great things. Mm-hmm. Personally, I'm going to be a stickler for the preparation, the energy. It's going to get us where we want to go. These guys are going to come to play every single night. You just saw Pablo Lopez. You just saw him, and he walked through your ass. As you taught me yesterday, he shoved it up their giggy. 7 innings pitched. 6 hits, 1 walk. That's a base runner per inning. 2 earned runs, and that's when Eloy Jimenez made him pay. 8 strikeouts. He struck your ass out 10 times last time. That is 18 strikeouts in 14 innings.
Yep.
That's shoving it up their giggy.
It is. And no adjustments, no understanding where he's trying to do to your players. And I get it, Luis. Yes, he's the straw that stirs the drink, but he didn't start the game. I'm sure the White Sox would have scored more runs and got more hits if Tim is leading off that game instead of Andrew Benintendi. You get a better offensive attack there because then you take Hanser Alberto off the team or off the starting lineup there. So, yes, Tim didn't come through right there, but to blame him for the loss where he didn't enter the game until the 8th or 9th inning, come on now. It seems a little short-sighted. I get it, but it's not what Tim. It's on the offense as a whole, but not Tim by himself.
The dude just got back from the IL. I understand that he made an error in the field, but again, he was having the understanding that today was going to be an off day. Pedro Grifol said today, TA got an off day after a quick return from knee injury, heavy workload last 2 days. Nothing's bothering him. We're just going to make sure that we have him for the rest of the season. We're going to give him a little bit of recovery. He'll get back after it tomorrow. That's what he was told. Tomorrow. And here he is today.
Yeah.
I get it. You're supposed to be prepared. The team should fucking work and score before you have to bail them out. What, Tim Anderson is supposed to be your get-out-of-jail-free card? Oh, we can't hit the ball, so let's just have the all-star come off the bench cold and, be the all-star. Doesn't work that way. He's coming off the IL. Mm-hmm. That's bullshit. That's a bullshit expectation. You should see the other 9 guys on the field and say, why aren't they doing better? Like, you should look at the GM who said, put it on me and put this bad roster together. This team shouldn't be 10-22. We'll talk about the weird bullpen. You know Alexander Colame's back? Like, we'll talk about this weird-ass bullpen. We'll talk about this awful lineup. I mean, Herb said we started off with everyone behind Luis Robert today was an automatic out. Seby's gives you the best at-bats. He's batting ninth. What the fuck is this manager doing? They talked about preparation, talked about game planning. They can't hit somebody in their own division that they saw not even a month ago. Tim Anderson shouldn't be in the game.
Yeah.
Stop blaming him. It's stupid.
And also,
he didn't even play for the majority of the fucking game.
As veterans, you usually get the full day off. That's what Tony and other managers for the White Sox have done. I actually find it refreshing that Pedro said the game's on the line. Let me put my best hitters in.
Yeah, and TA's not going to back away.
Yeah, exactly. So
I got 3-2.
I will applaud Pedro for pulling the trigger on Tim. Hey, I know I told you a day off, but we need you here. Can you get us a knock? He didn't come through. That's on Tim. Same thing with Yasmani Grandal. I find it refreshing that he did that, but to blame the loss all on him, it's tough. I get it, guys. You guys are very angry at the air, but I think he's put enough in the positive basket to give him some slack when he makes an error like this. Is that fair?
Is this his first error all season?
I
don't remember early.
Yeah,
before the losing streak.
I've watched it over my head.
I feel like there was at least standard fielding. No, that was his first error this year.
Yeah, Karnik, so. I get it. You cannot blame or get mad at the AAA guys here just doing their best. A team put in the bad position by the owner GM. No, it was about the GM. I get tired of people just blaming Jerry. I know he's the guy, but Rick has more than enough money to put a better product here, to put a better minor league system here, yes, to not have Sammy Peralta make his major league debut at all, firstly, because he's not a good pitcher. He doesn't have great stuff. And secondly, in that situation in the 12th, that's ridiculous for that kid to have to wear it there. So this is on the GM and the VP of baseball ops. The owner is not a thing to me when it comes to the actual baseball team. If the owner says you got this amount of money to deal with, the GM and the VP of ops have to find out how the best way to have that team ready. The Tampa Bay Rays only have $75 million. They find a way somehow, some way. They find a way to compete and be the best team in baseball right now.
I hear you. I absolutely hear you fully. The only thing I will say is that Rick Hahn, I think I was 4 years old when he started with the White Sox.
Yeah.
That's on Jerry Reinsdorf. Jerry Reinsdorf trusts his people too much. We talked about this through the offseason. So all of it goes back to Jerry. So I'm fine with blaming Rick. I'm fine with blaming Kenny. I'm fine with blaming Jerry. Because they all suck.
They all do suck, but like the parameters are set. You know that Jerry's a dick.
Yeah.
And
but you're spending $180 million, you're a bad GM.
Yeah.
Like if you're not able, if you're 12 games under 500, you're spending $180 million after spending $200 million last year. That's bullshit.
Yeah. Jerry is Jerry. And Rick knew this before he took the GM job. So he knew that there was some parameters he had to fit into, that he won't going to be going up the top rung for players. Never going up to the top rung for players unless it's Albert Bell in 1996. But he has to work within those parameters and say, okay, how do I get this team to be competitive? Let's find a way to have our minor league system better than it ever has been. Not by trades, by actually drafting people well, developing those people you draft well. Like, name two guys the White Sox have drafted and developed well as an offensive player. Tim Anderson.
But we've talked about a lot of his development as a player was
because of him.
Yeah.
Andrew Vaughn is developing, but he hasn't turned into the player that he should be as yet.
I mean, again, like the issue is both those guys are first rounders, and they are expecting those guys to be polished players.
Yes.
Andrew Vaughn was rushed to the majors.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not forget that as well. Andrew Vaughn has less than 200 plate appearances. Andrew Vaughn never started a game in the outfield in the minors. His first start in the outfield in the minors came in 2022 after he played 100-plus games in the fucking outfield. You know how many games he played in the outfield in college where he had a 500 on-base percentage? 0. Okay? It's a stupid organization. They're just hoping all these guys are finished products. They knew Andrew Benintendi was a first rounder in 2016. That's why he's on this team. They didn't do any scouting report. Pedro Grifol loved him. All right, but team go far, ball go far. Let's hit a guy that's going to hit it into the dead zone of the park. All the wind blows out to right field. So let's get a guy who hits it directly into the fucking wind. What a stupid team. What a moronic baseball team. I mean, Joey Gallo, we could see that he's sneaking balls. They're not fair, but he's sneaking 2 balls nearly past the foul ball into the 108 and for 2 homers this series. Make it make sense.
Joe R with the line of the week. Hope is not a plan.
Hope is not a plan.
Speak it, Joe.
And that's the thing, is Jerry Reinsdorf said, we don't explain, my biggest challenge when I started off as an owner in Chicago was we explained, I wanted to be open. We talked to the media. That was my biggest mistake. Now we just go and we hope it works out.
Yeah.
God willing, we hope it works out. This team is run on hope and bullshit. Let's go to
tape.
tape.
To put people back together.
On a tape. Eloy Jimenez is like limping to first base like Kirk Gibson. Luis Robert is like almost like having the brakes go out on him around third base. Yikes. Tim Anderson needs to be dragged off the bench on an off day and tossed in like Crash Davis to try to get a hit. Mercy. We watched this lovely game. It was a lovely game. And this is America's pastime on Fubo TV. It's not Fubu, folks. It's Fubo. Fubo TV, 140 plus live channels of sports, shows, movies, and news. You can stream live TV from any device and watch the most Chicago sports for the lowest price. You can also start watching immediately with a 7-day free trial. There's no contract, no cable, no hassle. Just sign up and start watching. They have over 1,000 hours of cloud DVR included at no extra charge, and you can watch local teams while traveling. There's events coming up like the NHL draft on ESPN. Where will the Blackhawks pick? You can probably watch the lottery too.
First would be great.
Oh, first would be fantastic.
They got a game changer there.
Oh my God, Connor Bedard. I just also like the name Fantilli.
He's good too. Number 2, right?
Yeah, I believe so. But I'd love a Connor Bedard. I think he also wears 97, so that's just like, mwah.
It's old school Roenick in Arizona.
I was thinking was he 97 here too?
No, he's 27 here.
Oh, is 97 taken? Is that Dougie Gilmore?
Here?
I don't know.
I don't even know.
You guys don't know? Okay.
I'm not a Blackhawks guy.
You can also watch the White Sox on NBC Sports Chicago.
Sean, my guy is Steven. Remember, he did all the post games. He loves the Blackhawks.
He's Blackhawks super fan. I know it all. I don't know.
Look up Doug Gilmore's number for me, okay? I know you don't know it. Watch the White Sox on NBC Sports Chicago with Fubo TV. Use the link in the description to sign up for 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro. And again, remember, you can start watching immediately with a 7-day free trial. Those 1,000 hours of cloud DVR are king as well.
9.
So, 9.
That one or 93?
Oh, 93. Okay, it wasn't 97.
The captaincy on Doug Gilmore.
Yeah.
Shoots goal, garbage goal.
He played in Toronto,
Calgary.
Herb, what you drinking?
I'm drinking a delicious 312 from our folks at Goose Island.
The fact that they sent us tall boys. Those lovely, lovely people are just beautiful.
This is the last one in the refrigerator right now, but there's like 8 million in the closet.
Don't say that, man. Keep it on the low.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. People are going to be raiding our closet here.
CHGO is supported by that lovely beer company, Goose Island. They've been Chicago's beer since 1988, and their beer roster includes Herb's 312 Wheat Ale. They also have the Goose IPA. It's a 6-time medal winner at the Great American Beer Festival. It's always in style. It has a citrus aroma, a grapefruity taste. They also have the Tropical Beer Hug, which is Steven's favorite. Those are dry-hopped Imperial IPAs. There's a 9.9% alcohol that's dangerously easy to drink. A couple 6%ers, a couple 7%ers. It's kind of like a ladder. You can kind of drink your way up.
The pocket pills, too. Delicious.
And there it is. It's an everyday beer, and it's what the brewers are drinking. It's what a lot of people were drinking. Matt Peck, Jake Flanagan.
Loves that.
It's a little lager for the folks, all right? And we love a little Midwestern lager, don't we? And also, you can grab an ultra-fresh brewery-exclusive beer at Goose Island's original brew house on Clybourne Avenue in Lincoln Park, or from their tap room on Fulton Street in Westtown. Goose Island Beer Company is Chicago's beer. Yeah, Turd Ferguson, I am also confused on how they didn't try Billy Hamilton. See, this is what I thought was going to happen yesterday. I was going to finish the ad read, and Vinnie Duber was literally going to appear like magic, and he is appearing like magic right in front of us. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber, and you can read his work over at allchgo.com. Vinnie, the White Sox win streak is broken. We are all sad.
Don't be sad. It's a beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day. and that's why Pablo Lopez pitched well. It was 65 and sunny. he was powered by the sun. This was a very weird game. What was the weirdest thing that you thought happened today?
The weirdest thing that I thought happened, I think, was that the 8th inning repeated itself in the 10th inning, and the 9th inning repeated itself in the 11th inning. So for a second there, it felt we were caught in a time loop down here at 35th and Shields. I thought I was watching a replay of the White Sox offense, because they did the exact same thing in the 10th that they did in the 8th, and the exact same thing that they did in the 11th and the 9th.
Well, and then Eloy broke the time matrix in the 13th, and it felt, too, like before that, like we compared it to the 10-game losing streak, because they scored 2 runs in the 3rd and then nothing else. Like, I mean, it was a very odd game, and they were still in it until the 11th inning.
I'm going to go positive because there's very little positive in this game. But
sunshine.
Oh, my God. Lucas Giolito is Luke Ace Giolito again. What do you have to say about his outing and about the results of the game? I'm sure he's not happy about that, but he pitched his ass off today.
Yeah, I mean, he's been great basically the entire season. There's really only one, that game in Pittsburgh that blew up on him. Everything else has looked pretty good for the most part. He wasn't even feeling his best today. He wasn't feeling like he had his best stuff out there. And it's the first thing that Pedro said when he walked into his press conference was, he went out there and pitched today, even though he didn't, wasn't doing it all together there. The thing that's jumping out to me, it looks like there's some real nice chemistry, not just brewing, probably all the way brewed between him and Seby Zavala. Lucas credited Seby for kind of game planning today and attacking the Twins when they looked like they were queuing in on his changeup. They went to the slider, and so that's what really worked for him today. He's looked really good, and he's I mean, for a team that badly needs their starting pitcher to deliver some length, he's a guy that's been doing it the last few times out, and really doesn't show much sign of stopping. He was pretty efficient today as well, and for him to be able to get through 7, basically right at 100, just a really good job for him. And I mean, there's a reason it was only 2-2 going into those extra innings. I mean, we've seen extra inning games where the score kind of jumps up dramatically there at the end because of what happens to the bullpens. White Sox pitching before the 12th inning tonight was terrific.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Lucas was terrific, and he really didn't make a mistake. I mean, he left with the lead. I mean, there's nothing really you can ask more from Lucas Giolito. He allowed 1 run. There's 2 big things that we've talked about before you joining. We also discussed bunting, but I think Herb's wrong. We don't have to go down that road. The Tim Anderson thing, supposed to be a day off, and yet he comes in and makes an error that really leads to the game opening up, and then also pitching to Byron Buxton. I'll let you choose your own adventure here because I feel like those were the next 2 questions. So Tim Anderson getting a day off, but then playing. Were you surprised by that, and did Pedro talk about why he needed Tim in that moment? And then Byron Buxton, did he talk about this decision to not intentionally walk him at all? It seemed like they pitched around him a bit, but never intentionally walked him.
Yeah, none of those decisions were really talked about. If you're looking for my thoughts on it, we'll start with Tim. Tim was used on a day off because Pedro was trying to win the game. I mean, you saw what Pedro did in the 8th inning. He pulled out all the stops, and I think it was pretty crazy to just look at the defensive alignment in the 9th inning. I think every position on the infield and then also right field changed from the 8th inning to the 9th inning in terms of who was playing that position. And it really kind of hammered home all the moves that Pedro made in that 8th inning, which that ended up being unsuccessful. They didn't score any runs, but to try and get Billy Hamilton across the plate there with he was on third base with nobody out. And, for the first of 2 times in those late innings, he didn't score. But Pedro pulled out all the stops. He brought up Tim Anderson. I mean, hey, when there's a guy in third base, Tim Anderson's the guy you want up at the plate to try to drive him in. There's no doubt about that. The guy had 3 hits last night. So that was definitely not a confusing move to me at all. Obviously, it ended up, going sideways because Tim had 2 more at bats after that. Both of them were outs. He was part of that strikeout barrage there. I think it was in the 10th inning. And then obviously the error in the 12th was ugly, but Pedro complimented his decision-making. I think the idea was that Tim was looking to go to third to try to cut down the lead runner there and preserve a lead. And so just the spin kind of got him on that ball. Pedro didn't seem too upset about it and was actually praising the decision-making there that Tim was going through, even though the play didn't end up happening. And then when it comes to Buxton, listen, Reynaldo Lopez still seems to be the guy. Still seems to be the guy that Pedro wants to call on when the best hitters in the lineup are up. And I mean, come on, the guy has been great against the White Sox. The guy is a great player, but the confidence that these guys have in themselves is that they have great players too, and that you're supposed to be able to go after them. What are you going to? You're not going to win a division if you're terrified of one of the guys on the other team. You're supposed to go after them. You want to be the best. I don't think that was a dumb move at all. There are moves to be made in which in which there are different situations. Guy on third base, let's say, and he's on fire, something like that. But he lifts a home run off of him. You tip your cap. Now the bigger discussion there is Reynaldo Lopez the right guy to go to in those moments? I think. I mean, he seems to still be that quote unquote closer, or at least at the top of the depth chart in the bullpen right now, even after sitting out a couple days with an arm injury. Turns out he feels fine, so that's good, I guess. But the results are speaking for themselves. And yeah, the other three guys he put down with no problem. He struck out Carlos Correa, but he's given up, I think, 6 home runs this season. I mean, it's May 4th, and this is your top reliever who's given up 6 home. My goodness,
gave up 1 last year.
I know. So listen. Liam Hendricks is probably going to be due back a lot sooner than everybody thought, which is really good for the White Sox, which is awesome for Liam Hendricks. But there's going to be some time until then, maybe a week or 2 or whatever. And maybe Reynaldo Lopez needs to stop being the guy that goes out there when the game's on the line, because he hasn't, from a results standpoint, he hasn't really shown that he can get that job done.
I disagree with Pedro, not because of you're going to walk him, but you got to be careful. I think they did that with Joey Gallo later in the game after they saw what Byron Buxton did. They had a base open. They went around Joey Gallo and went against the next guy. I would much rather face Polanco than Buxton, just specifically because of his success versus the White Sox. So that would be my only gripe with Pedro. I have another gripe actually with Pedro, all the bunting. Was he asked, why is he bunting all the time? And with a team that doesn't score runs when there's a runner on third with no outs, now he wants to do that with a runner on third with 1 out.
Refresh my memory if I'm wrong. I believe the only guy who bunted today was Lenyn Sosa. He just happened to do it, 3 times, I think. Is that right?
Billy Hamilton popped it up, but
Billy Hamilton popped out with there's 2 outs. Okay. Go ahead and tell me your confidence in those guys to get a hit right now.
I mean, it's
seriously,
not,
I'm being serious.
no.
Again, Hamilton,
in that situation,
Hamilton, there were 2 outs, and so he's just trying to do anything to make something happen. Billy Hamilton's not here to hit. And Pedro pulled out all the stops, like I said, in the 8th inning to get Billy Hamilton on base, and he almost won the game for them by zipping around from first to third in the blink of an eye, and he was there before the next at-bat was even finished. So that proved to be, I think that proved to be the right decision there. You're playing for 1 run in the 8th inning. You score that run, they win the game, basically. You don't know what's going to happen in the 9th, but you untie the game and you do it right there. And so when it comes to Sosa, the guy's hitting like $150 right now. I don't, from what I've seen over the course of him playing here with the White Sox this year, is there anything that in your mind that's going to be more of a contribution to what the White Sox can do offensively in those moments than him moving the runner over? I don't think so, because all that he's shown is that the vast majority of the time, he just makes it out. And so why not make it a productive out? That's what I would say. But again, Herb, they didn't score. So,
yeah.
The result is what the result is. And you can't necessarily say that either school of thought is right or wrong in that situation. But I don't think you can – I don't blame somebody for trying to make something happen when you're forced into a situation where a guy who is not going to get you really much in the way of offensive success is at the plate.
But they had 4 of those guys in their lineup today to start the game. But in the 8th inning, it's a flawed logic for Pedro to think you only need 1 run. You need more runs. You need the cushion of 2 runs like they had last night for Keenan Middleton to only go for 1 run. I think that's a flawed process, because now you're just cutting yourself off of more runs. Like if you allow Lenyn Sosa to do whatever Lenyn Sosa can do, and he happens to get a hit, you're in a better situation. You're much better with a runner on first and no outs than a runner on second with 1 out, because you're you're putting pressure on the next guy, who was Yasmani Grandal, to get the job done. And so I just don't like giving away outs, which Pedro did constantly, and I don't like that. I just want him to play baseball. And yes, he was handed a bad hand with the 4 players in from 6 to 9. Just terrible baseball players as far as offensively goes. But you got to be a little bit, if you're trying to win, instead of just trying to score 1 run, go all out. If you hit a double play there, I think most people be like, hey, man, at least you're trying to win. I think bunting is giving up to me. It just feels like you're giving up and trying to score only 1 run.
I think here's what Pedro would say, because he's talked about this before this season, and he basically discussed it as it's all about the situation and it's all about the game that day. So he can say, he's a data guy, as he's talked about. He could probably come up to you and say, like, oh yeah, in X% of the time that statistically is not the situation you want to be doing, but throw that all gets kind of not thrown out the window, but it all changes when you're talking about each specific situation. You know what I mean? And so I think that to have a blanket statement of, well, I'm not going to do this because of my philosophy on this, cuts off avenues to you in which you can succeed. And I think that when you bring up the situations, plural, that you had today with the White Sox in terms of Sosa bunting over a guy in a tie game in extra innings, in a walk-off or extra inning situation, because I think those took place in the 9th and the 11th. Am I wrong? I don't.
The Sosa one, I think, happened in the 8th inning, I believe, if I'm correct. I might be wrong though.
I think there were the 9th and the 11th, Herb, because Andrus led off. Andrus was on second base both times.
Yeah, it was the extra innings. That's the thing, is like the ghost runner gives the home team an advantage. Again, the Twins didn't score in the 11th, and then the White Sox come up needing 1 run. Like, you could throw the run expectancy matrix out of the book because you just need a run. It's not about trying to get the most in an inning. It's trying to get a singular event. I don't care if there's pressure on Yasmani Grandal. I'd rather have pressure on him than Lenyn Sosa. Again, I mean, Vinny brought up the 150 batting average. The guy just came up from Charlotte. 6 through 9 were all outs today. Yasmani Grandal gets paid $72 million. Like, go hit a fly ball with Elvis Andrus on third and win the damn game. Like, the offense didn't show up again.
Well, he wasn't on because Lenyn didn't come through.
Well, right, and that's the thing, is, I mean, like, Lenyn Sosa needs to be able to put a bunt down, like that. That's.
But he did the first time. He did the first time was a sacrifice bunt. He did.
I'm saying sorry, in the 11th,
and then in the 11th he screwed it up. But I guess the point is too. You can harp on that all you want, Herb. They had so many chances. It's so many chances, and so when you're zeroing in on a $150 hitter deciding to put a bunt down. How about you zero in on, Eloy and TA? Robert obviously kept getting walked, but, and Grandal, all these guys who are hitters, who are big league hitters, and who are not coming through. I mean, the team was 1 for 16 with runners in scoring position today. That's why they lost, because they had chances to score in the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th innings. They had chances to win in all of those innings, and they didn't come through in any of them. To strand a guy at third base with nobody out in twice that's why you lose.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can have a tirade against the bunt all you want. At the end of the day, it's not why they lost the game.
No, and it's, again, I mean, like, they did a good job of walking, but I mean, like Vaughn did, and I think Eloy drew a walk, but then Benintendi got intentionally walked like twice. Like, I don't know. Like, again, we talked about the preparation. Like, they saw Pablo Lopez not even a month ago, and they couldn't hit him. And they've gotten struck out 18 times in I think 14 innings against Pablo Lopez this year. That's bad. Let's take a quick break, and then let's talk about the bullpen, and then we'll get Vinny out of here, and then we'll talk a little bit more about Lucas Giolito. Want to let you know about FOCO, these lovely bobbleheads. The Tim Anderson, hey buddy, how are you? The Vinnie Duber Southpaw one. Those were set decorations donated by FOCO, and go show them some love. You can get fitted in the best sports gear around over at FOCO.com. They have hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads, and everything in between. And since it is spring and baseball season, they have aloha shirts, straw hats, polos, bags, everything you need for a game. Check out foco.com. That's FOCO.com, or click the link in the description below. For all non-presale items, use the promo code CHGO for 10% off. Also want to let you know about Shady Rays. Hey, Herb, get the ComEd read ready. Okay. Want to let you know about Shady Rays. Take on the sun with gear built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with warm weather ahead with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. Yes. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. I've never worn an expensive pair, but they're the best damn sunglasses I've ever had. They have durable frames and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures, and that's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection program in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, it tells us that they will send you a brand new pair. No questions asked. You can wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after your purchase. They also have your back after 30 days of your purchase, within 30 days of your purchase. If you don't love your Shady Rays, you can exchange them for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop with Shady Rays. Again, exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Again, these are fantastically made, durable sunglasses. Go to shadyrays.com. Treat yourself, use code CHGO, and get 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized shades. You'll probably never have to buy sunglasses again if you get 2 and you treat them right and don't break them. But again, they have lost and broken replacements, so there's no need to worry. Go try yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. Herb, it's time for Reader 1.
The ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is committed to helping families and businesses in their communities they serve, helping manage energy usage and lower energy bills now and into the future, Sean.
Yeah. ComEd offers a wide variety of incentives on lighting and other efficiency upgrades to commercial, industrial, and public sector customers of all sizes across the territory. ComEd offers free facility assessments that can help find energy-saving opportunities like for HVAC systems, commercial kitchen equipment, or industrial processes.
How does it work, Sean?
An authorized engineer will work with you to develop a detailed assessment plan specific to your goals and needs. These can be done in person or virtually and last approximately 2 hours. And within 3 to 4 weeks, customers will receive a report detailing energy efficiency projects that they could start working on. Vinnie Duber doing an Eddie Olczyk impression?
Immediately.
Each recommendation will include estimated energy savings, cost savings, project costs, potential incentives, and simple payback. If you own a business, do not wait. Get started saving money and energy today. For energy saving tips, lighting incentives, or to schedule your free facility assessment, go to ComEd.com/poweringbiz.
Did you say ComEd.com/poweringbiz?
And can you spell biz for me?
B-I-Z.
Schedule it today, folks. All right, let's get into the bullpen here because shout out to Husky Bardo. We'll get to that super chat in just a second once we get to Lucas. But let's go to the bullpen because I actually have a weird thing. This is on the offense. They scored 3 runs in 12 innings. They scored 2 runs in 11 innings, and really the third run doesn't matter too much because you lost by 4. The bullpen, it's in a weird spot, but when you look in the 12th inning, Alexander Colomé is on the bump. He's probably not going to be on this team. We have some fun stuff from the bullpen too, but let's get to the bullpen graphic that I have. Right now, it's Sammy Peralta and Alexander Colomé, 2 pitchers who pitched in the 12th. Jimmy Lambert, Keenan Middleton, Gregory Santos, Reynaldo Lopez, Aaron Bummer, and Kendall Graveman. We've talked about Reynaldo Lopez's struggle so far out of the bullpen, but then at some point we know Liam Hendricks and Garrett Crochet will return. Garrett Crochet, Liam Hendricks, I think that means Sammy Peralta and Alexander Colomé probably aren't long for this team. I think Sammy Peralta or Colomé are probably off the team once Joe Kelly returns from the paternity list. However, the issue is, on that right side, there are 9 players, if my math is right, and there's 5 starting pitchers. That means 14 pitchers. You're not allowed until September 14th to have 14 pitchers on a roster.
Yep.
You have a limit of 13. So out of that group on the right, Crochet, Lambert, Middleton, Santos, Lopez, Bummer, Graveman, Hendricks, Kelly, who's not in this bullpen? Because I feel pretty strong about all those names. Is it Lambert? Is it our guy Groot? Is it our guy Keenan Middleton? Like, who is the person not long for this bullpen? It's probably not Bummer. It's probably not Kelly. It's probably not Hendricks. It's not Graveman.
Out of all those players on the right, I would say it would be Jimmy Lambert. Not because he hasn't performed. He has performed, to my liking, very well. The number might be high. I think it's a 5 ERA, but I think he has performed pretty well. But if you're looking at all the rest of the names, those are vested veterans for the most part, or doing really well this year in Keenan Middleton and Groot Santos. So it's going to be hard to send those 2 guys down, and I don't know if you can even send them down, even if you have options for those guys. So out of those players, I would say Jimmy Lambert would be the unfortunate guy who's be going down to the minors or have a phantom injury.
I think the answer is that time will tell, right? And I think the idea is there's still 4 or 5 outings left for Garrett Crochet before they think about bringing him back. There's 4 or 5 outings for Liam Hendriks before they think about bringing him back. This is not something that needs to be decided tomorrow. I think you're right. When Joe Kelly comes back from the paternity list, you probably see Sammy Peralta most likely go, but Colomé obviously hasn't gotten the job done in his 2 outings, so that could be something too. We'll see. But the answer right now is we don't know, who the odd man out in that list is. But time can tell, right? There could be an injury tomorrow in Cincinnati. There could be a guy whose performance goes really, really south, really, really fast. You know what I mean? How as good as Santos and Middleton have been, and they've been great, and they are. It reminds me of 2020 where Foster and Hoyer kind of came out of nowhere to be the guys in that bullpen. Hoyer was obviously a little bit more of a known quantity from a prospect standpoint, but so relief pitching is so volatile from year to year that you do get guys that come out of nowhere and become key pieces. But the White Sox also showed in what they did with Jake Diekman that they're not afraid to eat money if it means, hey, there's a guy. This is a guy that's not getting the job done. Now, right now, there's so many of those guys whose numbers say that they're not getting the job done that I don't know if you could pick one quite easily right now. But over the course of the next 2 weeks, we might be having a much different conversation.
If I had to deduce, and Stephen, if you could bring up that graphic, I don't know. I think Groot's proved himself, and I think Keenan have proved themselves. I think they're going to stay. Crochet and Hendriks, obviously, you got to see what they're going to do. I mean, you could probably send Crochet down if he doesn't perform well, but that'd be surprising. Joe Kelly and Graveman, I would be surprised if the White Sox eat more cash. So then throw Aaron Bummer in to that as well, because Aaron Bummer would cost about $8 million to eat.
But he was filthy last two relief appearances.
Nasty today.
He was awesome today.
And it really leaves either Raylo or Jimmy Lambert. I think it means Jimmy Lambert has an option and Reynaldo Lopez not in high leverage. I really like that bullpen. And we'll see. Maybe then Jimmy can possibly get stretched out. I don't know if that's in his future, but Jimmy Lambert was a surprise last year that he came up and was this good in the bullpen. It might not be a surprise that, hey, that was a little bit short of a run. I'd rather see Reynaldo Lopez stick around. And that really seems like and I don't want to see Groot because now we have a great soundbite.
And this is his walk year too, is Reynaldo Lopez, so it'll be hard to see him get sent down or because he doesn't have the options left. And he's trying to get some big-time dollars after this year. He's not doing well in the bumps yet to get the money right. So, yeah, I would say Jimmy Lambert's probably easy out of those players to send down. And
he was good yesterday, too. So it's not like, these guys are all solid arms, and it's a good problem to have. The bullpen that has all those guys with +5 ERAs, now we're like, oh, who's going to get sent down? That's a good problem to have.
And the bullpen was really solid this series, like top notch.
Yeah, it's just, Alex Colomé, who wasn't on the team before this series, put 2 games in danger. One of them lost today, and then they were able to bail him out on Monday. But anyways, let's go to Matthew Lucas because this is a quick one. A couple bucks for covering this BS team. Grab a liter of RC or Oscar RC Colas pop for the troubles. Go Sox.
Did he lose his name when he got demoted?
No.
Vinny?
No.
Oscar Royal Crown Colas. Come on. It's too good of a nickname.
It's too good of a nickname? Groot. Do you want to set this up, Vin? Because we have just your little back and forth, or does it speak for itself?
I mean, basically, you guys have been asking me for a week now to ask Gregory Santos about his I Am Groot headband, and so I obliged today. And turns out the answer that he gave is not terribly interesting, but he did offer up a Groot impression that I think was very, very amusing to everybody involved.
Play the full one, Steven.
Some fans have noticed the headband you've been wearing that says Groot on it. Why have you been wearing that one?
¿Por qué te la estás poniendo?
La banda. He venido con eso desde el año pasado. Me gusta cómo me queda, cómo me agarra la gorra. Evita que el sudor baje. Es bastante cómodo.
I've been doing it since last year. I just like how it looks. I like how it fits with my hat. And it also helps with the sweating.
Do you like the movie? Are you a fan of the movie?
¿Eres fanático de la película?
Todo claro.
Yeah.
I Am Groot, Wakanda por siempre, todo eso.
Yes, of course.
New one comes out tomorrow.
La nueva viene mañana. La nueva la sacan mañana.
Great stuff there. Shout out to Billy Russo. But I am Groot. Like, we got it. We got it, baby. That's how we got it. Yes. This is why we have access to the locker room. Damn it.
Yes, really makes the Baseball Writers of America card worth it, doesn't it?
Yes, and shout out to Billy Russo for this translation. I'm glad we got the reason why Gregory Santos, I was going to call him Soto. That's the guy who used to pitch for Detroit. Why Gregory wears a headband.
And it also helps with the sweating.
It also helps with the sweating. So, that's it. It's good reason to wear a headband.
Well, it's funny. It's funny. Every once in a while, you will get one of the Spanish-speaking players who doesn't speak English, and Billy will translate the question back to them too. And in a more conversational tone where the two parties understand each other, you get what the other side is asking. But I could understand where Gregory asked to him, "Why are you wearing a headband?" And he gives a very regular answer to that question. So sometimes you got to follow up a little bit too.
And you followed up, and we got I am Groot. So great job there. You're a champ for asking that. Go read Vinny's writing at allchgo.com. His most recent piece is about the biggest win for the White Sox in May, and the month isn't even over. Liam Hendricks has struck out cancer, and some great color from the locker room from Aaron Bummer, Kendall Graveman, and Lucas Giolito on what Lucas's battle meant and what he proved to his teammates, or didn't have to prove, because Liam's always been that guy. Go follow Vinny on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer. Thank you, Vinny.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
You too. I didn't want to bore him with more of my Lucas Giolito fastball stuff.
Just me.
Yeah, just you. Because Husky Bardo up there said Lucas keeps pitching like this. That return is good. We'll see if they trade him. It's a contract year, folks. It's always a big year for all baseball players.
I don't think they're going to trade him, no matter what, because this Minnesota Twins team is not going to run and hide. Same thing with the Cleveland Guardians. So the White Sox will always be in this space they're in right now. They're 8 games right now, but we can see them being 5 games by next week if they play well and Minnesota keeps on being Minnesota.
We'll see. If they're still, if they're 5 games out, they're not trading anybody.
No, not a person. Ravi, hello.
Especially not Luke Ace, because right now he's the best pitcher on the team. Let's go to the stuff. Let's go to the stuff from Lucas Giolito. Lucas Giolito threw 55 fucking fastballs today. He threw 35 sliders, and he threw 11 changeups. His best pitch he used 11 times, folks. And when he's throwing 7 innings, giving up 1 earned run, and he's relying on his four-seam fastball that is down 1.1 miles per hour, it shows you the work that he's done and how good he has refined his mechanics. 6'6" guys shouldn't be locating as well as he is. But yeah, the fastball that he threw a ton, it is down on the year average. Year average is around 93. Today it was 91.9 in a warm Chicago. So, Lucas really wasn't bringing the full force today, but the slider, changeup, and fastball locations were perfect. And I talked about the Joe Ryan comp on Tuesday, and I want to bring it back just because you kind of saw what I was thinking. Steve Stone talked about Joe Ryan shortening up his arm swing. Well, we heard about that with Lucas Giolito in 2019, 2021, right? The short arm swing is huge, and that's a big part of what Ethan Katz, not only the lower half and the core velocity belt, but also with the short arm mechanics. We saw that with Dylan Cease, Jimmy Lambert, Lucas Giolito. But the fastball comparisons, they're a little bit different because Giolito's has more rise. 12.8 inches of drop means it's really staying just on a straight line, and it's going to, when you throw it at the top of the zone, look like it's rising. And 5.3 inches of break. Throw it faster, he'll probably get more break, and there's less ride to players. We saw the ride on the Hanser Alberto fastball. Yep. He thought it was going to be in the zone. It hit him in the damn hand. But
get hit, you jerk.
Just get hit. Take one for the team. That's literally like Hanser Alberto. That rule was written for Hanser Alberto. But perceived velocity, again, because of Lucas's stride because of Lucas's height, 94 miles per hour.
Extension.
So, extension, right. When we look at 91.9, that's what it's reading on the radar gun, but when you're actually in the batter's box, it's seeming 94.
Gets on you quickly. I was asking you, like, are they, the Minnesota Twins, thinking, hey, this ball is only 91, I can go up and get it? And he and Sevy had a plan, like, let me throw a high fastball, but you said no. It's just Lucas gets on you quicker. The 91 on the radar gun might be a thing. They might look up. It's like, nope, that's 95.
Well, it's location too. So like Joe Ryan it's mostly location. I mean, we saw Tim be late on fastballs right down the middle against 91. And it's mainly just because he's so good today he was so good at locating. We'll go to go back to the Joe Ryan thing real quick. The spin's very similar. The first one, the actual stat comp. The average spin, same, about 2180. But again, Ryan has more of a fastball that rides. Let's go to the next one, and that's the map today. So you could see when he located, and when you put the heat map on, like when it's the more of the Rorschach one, less than the pitch chart, you would just see a red dot up and in. So basically, he controlled the inside of the plate, and a lot of those fastballs were thrown 0-0. So he's throwing fastballs in on their hands. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that they're up and in. And he's able to keep 91, 92 up and in, which is just a hard pitch to hit. And then you have to worry about the changeup possibly throwing you off. And you could see where the changeups are thrown.
Inside.
They're not out away. They're inside. So I think a great tunneling job from Lucas Giolito. You're not sure if it's going to be the changeup. You're not sure if it's the fastball. You're not sure if it's a slider. And that slider was located beautifully. It was, inside or away. And it was a great job of locating. This is an actual pitcher. This is a pitching masterpiece. Lucas Giolito painted today, right? It's not the stuff that did it today. It's the actual pitcher. And I think it's the intensity. We talked about Pedro not doing a lot of good things. The one thing that I've seen that he's done is he's gotten Lucas Giolito back to that motherfucker. And I think that he walked off the mound after Pedro checked in on him in the 7th to say, hey, can you finish it? He said, no, I can finish it. And I think he walked off the mound, and Shane tweeted about it, and he said, I'm that motherfucker.
Yeah, he did.
So, hey, I'm glad that motherfucker's back.
Yeah, and I could tell, like, when he saw Pedro coming out there, he was kind of on a sprint. I knew he wasn't going to take him out, but Lucas, I felt the look at Lucas was looking at Pedro's like, I'm not coming out of the fucking game. Get your ass out of here. And he wasn't even talking to Pedro. He's just talking to Seb. He's like, hey, this is what pitch we're going to be executing. He was talking in his glove. And yes, I saw him say motherfucker, but Shane with a better reading of lips right there is a regular John boy, that's Shane, saying, I'm that motherfucker. So I love it. We saw that intense look coming off the mound, and you just, and that's what he needs to be. He's the ace of this staff right now. Now, Dylan's run on some tough times. I think he has much better stuff than Lucas. But as you said, Lucas is a pitcher. He adjusts to what stuff that he has, not the stuff that he used to have, and he deals with it. Like the miles per hour is down. And last year, the miles per hour is down, and he was getting crushed. He's like, I don't give a F. I'm going to locate it where I needed to locate it, and now you guys are going to swing. Like, how many times did they swing up and away at high fastballs way above the zone? Like that one that was at above the dude's head he's swinging at. That's how Lucas was so good, that because the players were just baffled by how good he was and how quick that ball was getting on top of them, and they couldn't handle him. I love to see my man Lucas come back and make all these fans who wanted to DFA him last year eat their words. And then when he leaves next year in free agency, you're going to be sad, because you don't have Lucas Giolito anymore to kick around.
Because Jerry won't pay up, because it'll be over $100 million.
Oh, definitely.
Let's go to the results of this stuff, and then we'll wrap it up. We'll put a boot on it. We'll go get out of here.
Luke Ace.
7 swings and misses on his fastballs on 26 swings. 6 called strikes. That's 13 called strikes and whiffs on his fastball for 24%. Not great, but also 11 fouls. And then when they put it in play, the fastball, 80.2 average exit velocity. So Perfect. He wasn't getting hit hard when they were trying to square it up. The slider, 10 whiffs on 20 swings. That's a 50% swing rate.
Voice.
Mercy. That pitch is a game changer, because it's usually not that effective, and it's effective today. 43% called strike whiff percentage, and he didn't use the changeup at 10, but when he did, it was effective. 36% called strike whiff percentage for overall 32%, and that's well above major league average. And you could see right here, Herb, all the swings and misses he got on fastballs up in the zone and out of the zone too. So he's getting guys to swing out of the zone, which is huge.
Making them swing out of his pitches,
right?
Not putting in the middle of the zone. You saw with the chart earlier, very few of those pitches were in the middle. He put them exactly where he wanted to, and you see it on the screen right there. The high fastballs, the look at the only pitch that's in the middle is that changeup. I'm sure it didn't get hit hard. Maybe that's the Correa home run, but all the rest are just fading away with the slider, fading away inside to the right-handers if the changeup, or just going up with the fastball.
That's an 0-0 changeup down the middle to Correa in the 6th inning.
Yeah, and that's why I got crushed.
No, it was a called strike.
Oh, I thought it got crushed.
The other one was a
Fastball?
slider.
Mm-hmm.
Slider, and he left it up.
Good.
Slider,
one pitch.
Slider kind of chest high out. It's a ball that Miranda roped into center, I think, on Tuesday off of Cease or whatever the fuck. I can't even remember this series. Anyways, Kopech. That's going to do it for the CHGO White Sox postgame show. We have one more thing. I want to leave you on one more thing.
Okay.
Vinny announced some special things, and Vinny didn't announce what the White Sox did, but Vinny tweeted about it, gave us pictures. I need this fucking bobblehead so badly. I know we have our sponsors, Foco, but they don't make them like this.
The Andrew Benintendi one?
No.
Okay.
I don't care about his elf on the shelf ass. Of course, his slappy ass would be a fucking elf.
Well, the other one could be an elf too. It could have gave Andrew the Indiana Jones thing.
He looks a little bit more Harrison 40. That's fair.
Yeah, and Andrew Benintendi's from Cincinnati, which is closer to Indiana than Northern California.
That's true. But the point is being missed. I need that bobblehead. That Andrew Vaughn bobblehead. The Indy Andrew Vaughn bobblehead. I need that shit. Okay. That's amazing. Come on. Look at it.
It is great. And the baseball back there depicting the rock that was in Indiana Jones.
My guy got his
boulder.
My guy got his first bobblehead, and they made him Indiana Jones. What?
Tough.
Love it.
Lot to live up to.
And then they also got Yacht Rock Night, which they get those sailor hats for the first 10,000. So I need that thing.
Sailing.
I don't know when
takes me away. Huh?
Do you know when Yacht Rock is?
No, I don't know the date, but it's always. I won't be there.
You'll be there?
Oh man, those are some of my favorite artists.
Back in a long ago. What else do you like?
Kenny Loggins, who actually wrote that song with Michael McDonald. See, look at my guy Lawrence hearing me sing over there. And I was singing Sailing by Christopher Cross, who is also on that show.
Chris Cross?
No, not Chris Cross. Christopher Cross, who was saying Sailing. He also sang Ride Like the Wind, who Michael McDonald's in that one singing the hook. There's a funny SCTV skit back in the 70s or 80s where they had an actor play Michael McDonald doing that part. And I got such a long way to go, such a long way to go. And he just like goes into the booth and then goes back and talks to the engineer. And the engineer's like, no, you got to say it again. It's funny. Go and check it out. SCTV.
Yacht Rock Night, August 8th.
Okay. Thank you very much, Stephen, for that.
And Indiana Jones bobblehead, June 25th, Sunday.
Yes. And then the halfway to Christmas is the 30th, July 30th, I think.
Correct.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be halfway to Christmas, but whatever.
A little fast it. That's Herb Lawrence. That is. I know for a fact you're Herb Lawrence. And you can follow him on Twitter at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. Tweet at us at CHGO_White Sox. Your favorite yacht rock band.
I wonder if Jim Messina will be there.
Is Jim Messina an artist or a person?
Jim Messina had a band with Kenny Loggins, and then Kenny Loggins left him.
Messina and
Loggins.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
Yeah. Another yacht rock thing. I think the Yacht Rock on YouTube, the first episode is where they find the song "What a Fool Believes." It's about Kenny Loggins and Jim Messina.
I'll have to check that out.
Please check it out. It's funny as hell.
Favorite yacht rock band? Does Hall & Oates count?
Hall & Oates. Speaking of, they're in that skit.
Okay.
In that skit of Yacht Rock episode 1. So no, they're more blue-eyed soul, R&B. But you can maybe call some of their songs like Sarah Smile a yacht rock song.
Okay. Steely Dan isn't yacht rock.
It's in the same boat.
Okay.
And
Steely
Michael
Dan.
McDonald sang in Peg.
That's true. So Peg is at least yacht rock.
Yes.
That's canon. All right. Follow Vinny on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer. Thank you to everybody for hanging out with us in the chat. Did we miss any super chats? I feel like we missed one like a week ago.
No, we got
some
3.
guy caught a home run and we didn't bring it up. You caught a home run. I'm very happy for you and bless up. I think it might have been a foul ball. We got the Buxton one, got the Husky one.
There's 3 of them.
Got the Matthew one. Bless all of you. You're all wonderful people, and we're excited to talk to you on our next show, which is Sunday.
Yes, I'll be in Cincinnati, maybe driving back, so I might join you guys via Cincinnati
Roadways.
Wi-Fi.
I-90.
Yeah, and then I'll be joining you guys also in Kansas City.
Let's go.
For 2 of those games, for the Monday and Tuesday game. I got a Tesla, courtesy of Steven.
Oh.
Not of Steven, no. I don't
Steven's
have a Tesla.
friend.
Yes.
You're going to use
Steven's
the
friend.
autopilot?
Oh, yeah, I'm not driving down to Kansas City. I'm just like, go ahead,
Fall
Elon.
asleep.
Go ahead, Elon. Take me where I need to go.
Boy. Best of luck.
And doing the podcast at that time, too.
Hey, it's changing the game. You could podcast and drive now with the future everybody has wanted. That's going to do it for the CHGO White Sox podcast. We will talk to you on Sunday. Go White Sox.